Hello again. Now, can we expect anything new out of tonight's State of the Nation address? Let's explore this and other matters with Dr. Oscar Van Heerden. He's a scholar of international relations and the Deputy Vice-Chancellor at Fore Hare University in the Eastern Cape. Doc, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Some people are pitching this State of the Nation address, which will be number 6 for Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa as President of the Republic, as the toughest one since he became president. Would you agree?
I would agree with that, Dan. You know, the truth is that there was no anticipation that COVID-19 as a pandemic would hit South Africa and the world. He had big plans, as you know, prior to 2 years ago. A lot of that has been scuppered, has been derailed, because suddenly we found ourselves in the midst of having to deal with a crisis, a medical public health crisis. And so I think that it's going to be a difficult SONA, because the pandemic not only have it, averted attention from a number of key issues, but also it had impacted on the economy. It had impacted on our poverty and inequality levels. So there's a lot of expectations for a really, really good State of the Nation address today.
Yeah, there's a huge political kind of vision that rides on this, especially in a year where the governing party, of which he's also the president, will be holding an elective conference in December. But should he be more pragmatic than political?
Look, I think that, now is not the time, I suspect, to play politics. The truth of the matter is that he has no less than three reports in front of him. As you know, Dan, he has the Zondo Commission report, part 1 and 2, soon to be receiving part 3. He has the SIU PPE corruption report, as well as the July riots report. All three reports implicating key associates, colleagues, cabinet ministers, government officials, and so forth. And so whether it is an election year for the ruling party or not, I think that the president knows this won't be a SONA where he plays politics. He needs to assure the nation that he is going to act on those reports, he's going to take those recommendations serious, and he's going to allow law enforcement agencies to do their work.
Security and safety. Surely he cannot ignore that, especially because Parliament is not even meeting in its usual building, because it went on fire on the 2nd of January.
No, indeed. And I heard you say, is there anything new? Well, certainly I would want to hear him say something about the arson at the Parliament precinct. He would want to assure us that indeed he is going to instruct his government to repair that building and to bring it back to former glory. And I think that is really, really important. People will be waiting.
Yeah, I've been asking other people. We've been talking, Dr. Van Heerden, to a number of organizations around issues like the basic income grant, issues of poverty and inequality. I've spoken to economists as well to say, at the end of it all, if you want to address inequality and poverty, which goes hand in hand, you'll have to create more jobs. Therefore, the economy is going to have to start growing. In your view, what should he share with us as a nation as key priorities for getting this economy going again?
Well, a number of key economists will tell you that indeed those are the basic principles of economics. We need to have an enabling environment, an enabling legislative environment that allows for growth, and so that there can be more money injected into the economy, which then will mean that there's more jobs. The problem with that hypothesis and those basic principles is that it hasn't worked for more than a decade. The government has tried and attempted to create an environment to create growth. But unfortunately, in 2008-9, we hit with a global financial recession. Just as we thought we are coming out of that, we have 9 wasted years of the Zuma administration. And then we are hit by COVID. And so I know it sounds like a number of excuses, but the truth of the matter is, in the absence of growing the economy for more than 10 years, in fact, in instances longer than 10 years, you have to come up with an alternative. And the alternative is putting cash in people's hands. Social wage is the alternative, just to alleviate and bring dignity back to the majority of unemployed, poor, and destitute people.
Social wage in the form of the basic income grant, of course, top of mind for many people. Some people saying the country cannot afford it, while people welcome and they can see the benefit of the 350 Rand monthly COVID-19 distress grant on top of the others. Some people are not so sure where the money will come from for that social wage. What are your thoughts?
Well, it is a difficult one, Dan, but the truth of the matter is we need to have a reallocation of public funds. I, for example, asked the question, do we need a fully fledged arts and culture ministry? Do we need a fully fledged sports ministry? Can we put a freeze on the social wage salary bill, which is out of proportion, at least for 2 years? These are all means where we can save some money and reprioritize. And of course, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, a bill that is increasing every year with the Auditor General's report. And so there is money in the system. And of course, as a last resort, there are also room for corporate tax to increase, for VAT to increase, and perhaps further down the road, personal income tax. We must all chip in to try and assist the most destitute and poor of our society.
Okay, finally, Dr. Van Heerden, before I let you go, at the end of the speech tonight, what will convince you that, at least now we are beginning to really grapple with the real things, that this speech has really hit the notes? Could it be like another Tumamina type of message?
I would like to, at the end of tonight, see 3 things being mentioned. One, that we are going to have consequence management for those who have wronged us as taxpayers in terms of state capture, in terms of PPE corruption. We are going to take decisive action. 1. 2, I would like him to talk about what is it that we are going to do to infuse more money into the economy in a structural way so that we can get at some semblance of job creation. And finally, I would like him to have a social wage, at least an unemployment wage, at the very least, an extension of the 350 grants until the end of the year or well into next year, perhaps.
Dr. Oscar Van Heerden from Fore Hare University, thank you very much for your time.